Hey you, I'm the Queen of Shade. Welcome to the interview. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, oh, and hit my Cash App to support your favorite content creator. Now let's get to the interview. Mwah. The Queen of Shade. Let me tell you something. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Salutations, Dufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming to you with another special presentation. Moving full speed ahead, getting to know some amazing people all around the world, having amazing conversations, edifying ourselves and growing, and then allowing you to kind of be a fly on the wall and hear what we're saying. Has been an amazing experience. Since I started doing this, I have not had one day that I said I didn't want to do this. I've wanted to do this every single day. So I'm flexing my journalism skills. Today, I have someone very special that you need to meet. We actually started talking even before the camera was rolling, honey. The chemistry is there. So I anticipate an amazing conversation for you guys to kind of peer into, learn from, and grow from. This person is a brand. Let's just start there. He's an activist, a poet and a writer, a dreamer, an advisor, a dream advisor. He's a queer prophet, a director, and a producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to formally introduce all of you to Mr. Dave Bridgeforth.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you
so
so much.
saying because now the camera's rolling, but yeah, we're sitting and talking. So how are you today?
I am well. I'm well. I'm so happy to be here with you. So excited to have this conversation. And I'm actually in my hometown, Indianapolis, having this conversation. So it's even more special.
Yeah, you were saying that you're in your childhood home.
Yeah, I flew into Indianapolis this morning to surprise my mom for her 55th birthday. I was thinking to myself, where am I going to do this interview? We're going to do this conversation in my house because, it's the house I grew up in. It's not like my place. I'm a bougie Negro. So, my place is done up. So I said, let me find a cute corner to get cozy in and have this convo.
Shout out to Beyonce on Cozy.
Yes.
Oh, like listen, I'm glad that you were able to fit us into your schedule. We appreciate
Absolutely.
you appreciate.
Thank you for having me.
So do you get home to Indianapolis a lot or are you always on the road?
I try to come. I pick one of the holidays, so either Christmas or Thanksgiving, and then I either come for some secondary time in the beginning of the year. Usually my mom's birthday, August, or maybe 4th of July weekend when my family is there, like something like that. I try to hop back at least twice a year. But I am trying to figure out ways to do a lot more here because before I moved here, I was on the board of Pride. I was producing Pride here, and Indianapolis, Indiana, has had a hard Republican hit over the past few years, and every queer space, safe space is shriveled up. The gay bars are closing. The Pride is barely, still doing things. So I try to get back to try to inject some kind of something into the city when I try to come. Turn up, throw a party, gather the folks around, do something, But yes.
It's a sad thing that our country is still fighting over this issue.
Yeah.
This is a humanitarian issue. A
Yes.
right to breathe, a right to be. And you see, it's okay for us to have differences, but when things are done to keep certain demographics down and to stop,
Mm-hmm.
basically stop them from advancing, that's a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hate crime. So that another race or ethnicity can advance. That's a hate crime.
Yeah, it is.
And it's so difficult. And you know what's so funny? I'm going to do this because I I can do this with you because you're an activist. I just want to start off with this. Well, not recently, a couple of months ago, I had a young man on my platform. He came to my platform. He was very respectful. I had known him for years. I had supported him for years, supported his dreams, endeavors, just got to know him through social media the way I get to know everybody. I've been doing this since 2003. I have men that I've supported for 15 years, and they're like, you've always been there 15 years. And so he came and he was very respectful, and I gave him some guidance because I'm a shaman, gave him some guidance, prophet, healer, oracle as well. So and we went our ways, and I thought nothing of it. Last night, he posted a video, 14 minutes long, asking the world, and I could tell it was for clickbait and to stir up, to gaslight people, but still, asking the world why gay men had to be so feminine and dress like women. And he went into this rant. And in this rant, he said, he's okay with natural femininity, but that natural femininity is in light-skinned men. He actually said that. And
Oh,
I left a comment and I said, you know what, we need to talk about this, because clearly you are not talking to any effeminate men. But what I could not get over is the misogyny in inside our own community as gays. The only reason why certain demographics of gay men celebrate their masculinity the way that they do is because they revel in the fact that they can walk outside their door and not be bullied, harassed, or murdered for people knowing that they're gay. So
that privilege, that passing masculine privilege.
this, they want to be able to hide. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
And they can't handle the animosity and hatred that people like me get. Can't handle it. And it's very sad. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's just very sad because, I've been a cross-dresser since I was 8 years old. He asked, why do men have to dress like women? Women are beautiful creatures, but I never wanted to be a woman. Now, mind you, my story is different. I've always been androgynous. At 22 years of age, I voyaged to Paris as a fashion model, and I was slated to do all the women's shows. I've never needed to transition. I was beautiful as I am.
Yes.
And I found circles that accepted that beauty. And then when I started doing the Queen of Shade and I kept elevating and, the budgets got larger, I decided I wanted to wear wigs and dresses, because that was something that I had been doing in secret since I was 8 years old. A couple of other things that I've been doing in secret: singing and practicing this wisdom that I give out all the time.
Absolutely.
And I say this just for this reason. Had I thought like him or thought to hide, we wouldn't be sitting here having this amazing conversation that we're about to have.
We wouldn't.
Wouldn't even know me.
We would not. I think I absolutely agree with you. I think that our community has been digesting poison for so long about ourselves. And there's very little pathways that I think our community has found for self-healing, retraining, reteaching ourselves, reconditioning ourselves, renewing our minds and how we were raised, unpacking all of this hatred for ourselves. There's very few people who are really doing the kind of work in the community. But what is even more sad is that people who have platforms many times are spewing that poison out on others, which is why I'm so thankful to be on your platform, because you're able to inject truth, a narrative of truth, into our community is so necessary. You have to feed our faith and let our fears starve to death.
Yes. And get it, I'm done. We're not gonna stay there. But
No, I'm with you though. I'm with you. I'm with you.
and I love it. Because I couldn't hide. And I wanted to. I wanted to. And the divine kept pushing me out into public. I couldn't hide in church. They knew from 10 years old. I could not hide. People don't know, in college, I tried to kill myself.
Mm.
And it was a horrible situation because I was starving to death. Because I said, and I was about 18, 19. I said, God, I am not going to put anything else in my mouth. I am going to fast and pray until this is removed from me or I go home to be with you. And I almost went home. That's how serious I was, because I had been indoctrinated and taught that I was wrong for so many years that I almost died. And fast forward from 19 to 22, modeling in Paris, getting my feet wet and in the door. God wakes me up, takes me to a park, beautiful French park. The French are laying out on their towels, sunbathing. And I'm sitting on a bench, and he says to me, you know you're gay, right? And when I said, God, I know, I started screaming and crying. And I tell this story a lot. I started screaming and crying hysterically. People are jumping up from their towels. Madame, madame, because that's how I looked. Madame, madame, are you all right? Are you okay? I couldn't answer them. I was screaming and crying like somebody was murdering me from the inside out. And I remember pulling it together. And I said, what am I going to do, God? What am I going to do? And I've been a shaman for a long time. I've been visited since I was a little boy. We talking 5 and 6, having dreams and talking to the divine and ancestors. So the spirit of the divine said to me, we'll deal with it. I got up. I collected myself. I walked out of the park. That was 2005. I've spoken to God about a lot of things. We've never had a conversation about that again. No need. No need. So when someone comes along and they want to degrade your humanity, they don't know what you've been through.
Did you not?
What you've had to face being who you are. It's easy to hide behind the screen and spout a whole bunch of, misogynistic bullshit. It's another thing to have to get out there and face the world with a face that can't hide. It's interesting. So anyway, Mr. Bridgeforth, about you. Let's get about you. So you're from Indianapolis, Indiana, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Isn't that
raised here?
Isn't that where Prince is from?
I think Prince is from here. I know Mike was from Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
Michael Jackson 5 from Gary. There's a lot of stars that are from Indiana or different parts of Indiana. Vivica Fox is from Indianapolis. There's just different people that have come from here. I don't know about Prince though. I need to look that up.
I don't think it. I want to say Michigan. I don't think. I think it was Indianapolis. Listen, we're not gonna sit here and stress. Hold on. Where is the singer Prince from? Minnesota.
Minnesota.
No, not Minnesota. Correction. Minneapolis.
Oh, Minneapolis. Yes, Minneapolis. I've never been there. I've never been there, so I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that either. We're gonna move on. But no, I don't know nothing about that either. We not listen. I know where it is. Geography. I know where it is, but I don't know nothing about it. But So you grew up there your whole life? Was that the only place, or did you move around, or how did
No,
you?
I was raised here. All of my I was born in Jersey just because my mom was pregnant visiting my grandmother and went into labor. But I was raised here all the way until I decided to leave, which was after I started my magazine. I was what, 21, 22 when I said, let's get out of the city. I want to get to New York as fast as I can.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you did.
yeah.
Did you go to college?
I went to school. Yeah, I had a full ride scholarship. I hated college though.
Oh, you said you didn't like the college.
Absolutely hated college. I didn't like school. Even though I had a full ride scholarship, I hated it.
Where'd you
Um,
where'd you end up going?
IUPY.
Okay.
There's a school in here in Indianapolis, community school. Um, but I dropped out my last year after I met Maya Angelou. I was so in love with speaking
Yeah.
for years, and I was a motivational speaker and traveling speaking. And it wasn't until I met Maya Angelou and fell in love with her poetry that I really fall in love with or get in touch with my gift of writing, per
Yeah.
se.
Yeah. So tell me, how does a kid get these speaking engagements? How did you do that? How did you finesse that?
I was hungry. I was hungry for it. I had read a book at 15
Yeah.
called Live Your Dreams by Les Brown.
Yeah.
Is there an echo? Because I feel like I hear echo.
No.
Oh, echo. Okay. Live Your Dreams by Les Brown. And soon after I finished reading the book, I got an opportunity to meet Les Brown
Yeah.
here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Les Brown's a world-renowned motivational speaker. He's like the father of motivational speaker, one of the first Black men to dominate the industry.
Yeah.
I got to meet him at the expo here in Indianapolis, and he was giving a speech, and I was very persistent in meeting him at 15 years old, and I met him once, and shook his hand and told him how much of a fan I was of his work and inspired by his work, and he was very kind. And then I just wasn't satisfied with just meeting him once. So, or just having that one conversation. So I, stood around and just waited until he was done with the day. Like I waited around until he was finished doing the stuff. And then I came back and said, Mr. Brown, I'm Dave Bridge. He said, I know who you are. You've been sitting there following me around all day long over from the corner. What can I help you with, young man? And I said, I want to be a motivational speaker like you. And he said, you do? I said, yes. He said, well, I train speakers. And I said, you do? He said, yes. He said, take this information down. So I wrote the information down. He gave me a number to call. I called him. We had a conversation. He got me in touch with his team. His team flew me and my mom to Orlando, Florida, because he trained some of the top motivational speakers in the world. And I came to the first motivational speaker training at 15. I think by the time I had just turned 16. And I got there. It was about 100 people in the room and these large round tables. It's like workshop style. And Mr. Brown came in and he greeted me and greeted a few other people. He went on stage and began to talk about welcome people to the training. But he said, before we get into it, I really want to introduce somebody who is going to be the blueprint for us this weekend. He is one of the greatest speakers that I've ever heard. Ladies and gentlemen, clap your hands for the one and only David Bridgeforth. So I'm up clapping. I'm clapping because I'm thinking somebody with my name, David Bridgeforth, because he ain't talking about me. I'm 16. So I'm like, who is he? Looking back, and he's pointing at me, telling me to come down.
Oh.
Mortifying. And he gave me the mic and said, you have 5 minutes in my ear.
Oh.
And I don't know what I said, but I started talking and I started speaking and I started preaching and speaking and I started talking and I started talking and I was quoting and I was hitting points and dropping wisdoms and telling a story, and I had them in the story, and standing ovation. Right after my standing ovation, a woman came up, offered me a $5,000 speaking engagement, which was the first speaking engagement that I ever got. After that, Les Brown said, "We're going on tour, son." And he took me on tour with him and taught me how to speak. So that was how I started into my career. Before I was ever out, queer, gay, anything, before I knew, felt, expressed, did anything, that was my entry. And I was speaking while I was all through high school, all through college, until I met Maya Angelou. And then I didn't want to speak anymore.
Why?
I just wanted to focus on writing, and I wanted to focus on, because when I met Maya Angelou, the things that she said to me, she changed my life. I didn't even know, I wasn't even clear that I was a queer, a gay man like that. I mean, I did, but I really wasn't, not out in the world. I wasn't an out in the world gay man. I had my, and she looked at me as if I was Christmas morning.
Oh.
Like every time, it seemed interesting because when I was asking her questions, I was asking her about James Baldwin and Langston Hughes, all these gay men, all these that she knew very well, and she would tell me these stories. And at the end of the day, I had wrote a poem for her, a celebration poem, because it was the weekend of her birthday, and I was in school for English and communication, and my writing teacher said I was an awful writer. And I was an awful writer, said she was gonna flunk me. This white lady said she was gonna flunk me. And so then a week or two later, I'm sitting in front of Maya Angelou, and I had been there for several hours. Me and Les Brown was with me. Les Brown was there for several hours, talking about a number of things. And before we left, I had told Les that I wrote this poem for Maya. And he said, "Oh yeah, great, you wrote a poem. Woo!" You like, you ain't no poet. You are a speaker. We speak. We're speakers. When did you, write a poem? Okay, great. Great. So he didn't say anything about it that whole day. I told him the day before when I got in town. And so here we've been in her house for hours, and we've toured the home. She's talked about everybody from Tupac to Michael Jackson to Oprah Winfrey. Like, we've discussed all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the stories. And we're about to leave. Les says, "Oh, don't forget about your poem that you wrote for Maya." Maya looked at me and said, "A poem? Poetry?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am. I wrote a poem yesterday for you in celebration of your birthday." Now, I felt stupid about even saying this, and I was mad that he even mentioned this, because I had already asked her an hour ago, what makes a great poet? How do you become a great writer? Everyone, she says, "Oh, darling, everyone thinks that they're great writers, but there are very few writers, real writers that live on the earth." Like, she said, "It takes me months and years to write." And granted, she was just going in. And then Les Brown's going to say, "Oh, read that poem you wrote yesterday on the plane." So it was just very like, you're screwing up the mood. You're screwing up the mood. Then she said, "Well, darling, you wrote it yesterday on the plane?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Oh, it's not finished." And I said, she said, but the poem is yours. It belongs to you. So if you would like to read the poem now, you can read the poem now, or you can wait a few weeks, a month or so, and work on it and send it to Mrs. Crisp, and Mrs. Crisp will, get it to me. Mrs. Crisp was the housekeeper woman that was chopping onions in the kitchen right behind me. And Les Brown gave me this look like, don't read the poem. Like, don't read the poem, son. Don't read the poem. But something in my spirit said, read this poem to this woman now. Like, read her this poem. And so I'm going to read the poem now. And she said, "Very well." And she sat back in her seat, took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and she put her hand out and she said, "Proceed."
Oh.
And I mean, silence hit the room. Like, it was. So I got this little paper. I was reading this little poem on this paper, and I began to talk about, begin to read the poem. I wish I could read it for you, but I don't know where it is right this second, and I don't know by memory anymore. Maybe I'll send it to you. You can put it up on the screen or something. I don't know.
Right.
But began to read this poem, and midway through the poem, Mr. Brown begins to weep because of the poem.
Mm.
And he says, as I'm finishing the poem, he says, David, that poem was, and before he can finish the poem, Maya Angelou said, Mr. Brown, be silent. And when she said that, everyone shut up. She said, I need to take this in. I need to experience this. And she closed her eyes. And for the longest pause that I can imagine, she just was, it was a moment. And tears began to come down her eyes. And she asked for the poem, for the paper. She reached for it. And I gave her the poem, and she began to read the lines that I had wrote. And she looked at me as if I had lied to her. It was this look, like I had lied to her, like I had come in the room and said that I am a pauper, that I am a poor man, but my father was the richest man in the world. Like I had come in not knowing anything about poetry, but I was. When she looked at me and she said, "You're a poet. You have that stuff. You're a poet." Because earlier I had asked her, what does that stuff that makes you great? And she said, a great writer can get these nouns, these pronouns, these adjectives, these verbs, and you put them together and you throw them against the wall, and if it bounces, you have something.
Yeah.
To be able to use these words and arrange them in one way and make someone weep, arrange them in a different way and make someone laugh, arrange them in a different way and make someone, that is what it is. And so she said, I had that stuff. And so she's weeping, and Les Brown's weeping, and then I'm starting to cry. And then she said, let me pray a blessing over your lives. And Les Brown got down on his knees and put his head on her leg as she was sitting there. And I stood there and held her hand. And I can remember the beginning of the prayer, because the prayer, she said, changed my life, because I heard the prayer she prayed. She said, Father, Mother, God. Wow. I had never heard that before. I didn't know that.
Oh.
I was like, who? She said, Father, Mother, God, I come, I bow, I lay, I sit, I crumple here. I'll call the angels behind the stars and the giants of the land, that no words will burn their skin, that no harm shall come to them. And she said, I say these things in the name of his bosom that I lay every night, Jesus the Christ. And I was like, then she asked the chauffeur with her Rolls Royce to take us back to the hotel. And that was my experience with Maya Angelou. And I went home trying to figure out, because she told me to tell them that they're better than they think they are. And I didn't know who them was. I didn't know, because I wasn't an out man then. It wasn't until I said, oh, I'm a queer person. Oh, I'm gay. Oh, these people, tell them, my brothers, my sisters, that they're better than they think they are. And so that became the work that I began to do. I didn't want to give no speeches, with Les Brown after that. I really wanted to, figure out how to tell my community, who didn't know I existed, because I wasn't out, but they're better than they think they are, because that's what Maya had said. And that was when I created my magazine and other things.
Hold on, I need a moment. Yes, God. I need a moment. Hold on. I'm a quick moment person. So I just processing that I could feel her presence.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I've told this story with Les Brown on stage a few times.
Yeah.
And I really want to get him in the studio, because he's aging gracefully, but I want to get him in the studio and really have a conversation about that, because there's no recorded conversation with me and Les about that.
Yeah.
That people can reach for, because he's the only other person that was with me that could, talk about all the things that all the stories. I mean, she talked about, being there when W.E.B. Du Bois had died. Like, she was there. She talked about how Malcolm X and used to want to ride with her in the car in Ghana, Africa. And, like, she just was talking stories about the story, the history, her lifespan. Like, Jesus, like, Tupac, her relationship with Tupac and how she saved Tupac's life. Like, all these stories, like, I didn't know that she was touching and reaching, and it's profound to know that she had so many commas in her bio, that she spoke so many languages, that she had so many books, like 30 books. She speaks like 15 different languages.
Yeah.
That your brain can expand, that one can be so expansive with
Yeah.
so much capacity. It completely inspired me. I wanted to be a different person when I left there. I just wanted to be bigger.
So
Yeah.
my question to you after that is, you got back to that hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after that?
I complained and I was mad, and I got cussed out because I was mad that I couldn't get a photo. And Les Brown was like, "Have you lost your damn mind? The greatest poet on alive on earth just said that you was a poet, and you mad that you didn't get no picture because her makeup was running and she was snotting." No, so so I had to. When I got to go to, I was trying to just go back, and I was just really because I was still young. I was just 21, so she told me I was the same age that she was when she met Langston Hughes in
Wow.
a jazz bar,
Wow.
in California. Like just to, and then she wasn't even a poet. She was trying to be a singer with her cousin, she
Yeah.
said. And he happened to walk in. So it's like I had to really take it in. I didn't know. It took me a minute to digest. I didn't when I got back to the hotel. I didn't know. I didn't know what had happened. It wasn't for another month or two when word got out. I went back to college. I dropped out. I cussed that professor her ass out. I said, "I'm tired of this damn school trying to tell me what the hell." I forgot all that shit. Dropped out of school, had a 4-hour scholarship, just over, real bad, over, done. And I just didn't need any of that. I feel like I had gotten my stamp. You can't tell me, Professor Nobody, that I'm off about it in my annual. Just okay. And then I started getting booked to write poems, pieces for openings of this. Beautiful. I produced write beautiful pieces that I'm gonna have published in this book that I'm working on. A book of poems that I should have been published, but yeah. So I started doing that, and it went from poetry to essays and manifestos, and I wanted to say stuff, and so that's where that magazine idea came from. Um, you know, um, we didn't have anything here in Indianapolis remotely like that. You know,
Fill me in. How does one become a poet laureate?
I think that you either have to win certain awards or be deemed it. You either can be deemed it, I think, by the head of state. Usually it's the person that is asked to do the poem at any inauguration for a governor or head of state. I think the reason Maya Angelou was poet laureate was because she was asked by Clinton to do that poem. I think. Now I'm not 100% sure. People can in the comments and say, "Negro, you are wrong, Negro. This is how. Please inform me."
No, you're right. You're right. They have to be appointed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I know a few things. I was hoping.
Yeah. No, you know what's so crazy? You have met the best in the business. You have worked with the best in the business. You have been sanctified a poet, a writer, someone who has the written word and the ability to write. And that when I tell you, that is just the most amazing thing because literally writing saved my life. Right,
Mm,
writing saved my life.
mm,
Literally.
mm,
In college, I had to medically withdraw. I couldn't drop out. I had to medically withdraw because I found out I had manic depression, bipolar 1. I had PTSD because of my childhood, and I had acute anxiety disorder. So my career ended in pieces and in
mm.
embarrassment and sadness and pain. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And even then, the divine said to me, "We're going to use what we have. That's what we're going to use. We're not going to go anymore searching for anything. We're going to use what's inside here." And I began my 20-year journey into the land of entertainment and songwriting. And it was a divine appointment. And
Mm.
literally, I have an album out right now that I put out in 2018 that it has 50 songs on it. When I tell
Wow.
when I tell you, it didn't take me more than 15 minutes to write a single song on that album.
Mm.
And when I write, I hear. So I'm the type of person where when I'm writing, I need to be alone because I hear the melodies, I hear the arrangements, and every song gets put down like a commandment, just like the 10 Commandments. It just gets put down.
Mm-hmm.
So to have someone, two people in your life of that caliber, to sanctify you, an amazing speaker and an amazing poet and writer, man, oh man, do I feel honored to have you here today.
I appreciate that. And if you look at that, I do see a blessing. It's just like a breadcrumb to blessing, because it doesn't stop there. It doesn't even stop there. It doesn't even stop there, because I think it to myself. It has to be God, the universe. It's different ways you look at it. I attracted it. It's a blessing. Either way you look at it, it has to do with the blessing. Because when I decided to start the magazine, I put the first two issues together here
Yeah.
in Indianapolis, and it was this little citywide magazine, but it was so popular it became a statewide magazine. Different cities in Indiana were like, "Can you send us a box of magazines?
Yeah.
We'll distribute it at our club and our bar." It, I was asked to come by Chicago Pride to Chicago and bring a few boxes of magazine to pass out at the park. Did that. A week after Chicago Pride, the year I started my magazine, I got a call from Reggie Wells. Reggie Wells is the famous, iconic Black gay makeup artist who was iconic before he touched Oprah Winfrey's face. But when he touched Oprah Winfrey's face, he turned Oprah into this, goddess of a glamazon of a woman, and also directed her covers for old magazines for 10 years.
Yeah.
He was retiring after 25 years with the Oprah show. He had taken the check and didn't want to go to OWN. He took the coins and he was retiring, and he had saw my magazine at some gay bar in Chicago and called me and said, "Can I speak to the queen that's on the cover of this pamphlet painted the wrong color?"
Oh!
I said, "Excuse me, who? Can I speak to the gay boy painted slightly too light on this magazine?" He's still shady and funny. I said, "Who is this?" This is Reggie Wells. And I knew exactly who he was. So I said, "Oh my God, Mr. Wells." And he said, "Whoever did your makeup, you and your makeup artist, which was a drag queen friend of mine who beat my face like a drag queen
Yeah.
for the first magazine cover, did me up. A good boy beat though. He said, bring you and your drag queen friend, y'all need to come to Chicago and have lunch with me at the Oprah Winfrey Studios at Harpo. And I'm going to teach your friend how to do your makeup right for your magazine."
Yeah.
We went to Chicago, had lunch with him at Harpo. I had missed Oprah by an hour or two that day. She had just left an hour or two. I was mad. But he showed her how to do my makeup. And after that, volunteered to be my cover director and makeup artist. And told me, because it was never my plan to be on the cover of all my magazines for 10 years, told me that I should be on the cover of magazines and said, "I will show you how to do it." And I would fly him in and he would be having me in the shoes. "Wear that, turn this way, Mary, lean in, Mary, smile, Mary." Like, taught me how to, because I wasn't a model, taught me how to do covers, taught me how to give a look, what to wear, why to wear this, why should we contrast, all of that. So I had him, and then I had Stanley Bennett Clay, who was a best-selling author, famous Black gay playwright, who had also owned gay magazines before I was even born, who were blueprints for me
Yes.
in starting this publication for 10 years.
Yes.
That I could not pay for, there's no way that I could get that kind of talent, or there's no way that people are doing that free. But it's been 10 years now. I'm celebrating my 10th anniversary of my magazine this year. And
I love it. You had to exhale.
yeah, it's just you can't. It's just more than I could make happen by myself. Yeah, blessing.
You have had a lot of ordained success.
Yeah.
And there's still so much more. But you know what I love about these stories the most is that for once, I'm hearing about the greats in our community that aren't too vain, too proud, or too arrogant to help put another Black man on. You know, they want to tell us in our communities, oh, the Blacks, they tear down each other. It's crabs in a barrel. Oh, they won't help you up. They won't help you up. And you just illustrated that your career, your whole life, you've been being helped, not by just regular people, the top in every field,
Mm.
every field.
Mm-hmm.
And they were willing. Do you see this? This is what I want people to understand. They were willing to show you the way. That doesn't,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah.
happen. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. And the only thing that I can do is to be that light. I mean, that's
Yes.
what you. My always say: when you get, you give. When you learn, you teach.
Yeah.
And I feel like the fact that this is happening to me makes me want to show up, and it's been the reason why I've shown up for so many opportunities to be an opportunity for other people as well. For their story, for their journey, for their dream.
I have to be completely honest with you. I wasn't acquainted with your work before I asked you to interview. I saw a beautiful man with a light in him. And I love saying that because I'm getting it's paying itself forward right now. I teach my mentees and the world that I control under my sound of my voice that there is a story everywhere. Every single person has a story.
Yes.
Because I saw a light in you and your amazing photos too. You have quite the body.
Yes.
Quite,
I worked hard for that body.
yes,
Yes.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. It's a very beautiful thing to behold. They will see it in the thumbnail. Yes, because I'm. But I love the fact that my gut has gotten so good at being able to say, there's a story there. Because when I asked it, literally, I said, oh, this person's so, like, I feel from this person. I said, let me just ask this person. Let me just ask them. Let me just,
Mm-hmm.
let me just reach out to them and say hi and see if they'll interview with me. And Mr. Bridgeforth, you didn't give me one problem. You,
No,
you,
not at all.
you said, absolutely. When can we set this up?
Yes,
But, but,
absolutely.
but the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it had already been your experience to look out for Black people. The top
Mm-hmm.
of the top looked out for you. Do you realize what this interview was going to do for me? Do you realize the degrees of separation? Do you realize what this is going to do for my platform? They like you spoke to him. What? You have ties to sheer and utter genius, brilliance, and greatness. And you yourself became a product of those things. You became, look, I see, get it. The number one person who get it first will be my boyfriend. My boyfriend gonna call me. He gonna be tripping. Like, do you even what? Did you hear these stories? Did you hear what? Because I didn't know. But I'm so glad that when spirit tells me to move, I move.
Mm.
So tell me, mister, it's been 10 years. You're
Yes.
celebrating your 10th anniversary of your magazine. What's it called?
DBQ Magazine, David Bridgeforth Quarterly.
Okay. And in your magazine, what can we expect to read for those of us that are new to your enterprise and your written word?
Well, for 10 years, we've featured what I've called the best of the community.
Yes.
I shift through my experiences and featured, had conversations, done interviews with community members and allies on a plethora of topics around lifestyle, from sexuality to music to culture to television,
Yeah.
books, plays, anything.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I created with the magazine that has been the most popular thing that I've done with the magazine was create the Loud 100, which is a list that I created about 10 years ago, because it happened the first year I started the magazine. It came at the end of the first year, where I select 100 LGBTQ people of color
Yeah.
nationally who've done something monumental this year for the culture, for the community, and we featured them. And that list trends every year. Usually it's picked up by all the nonprofits. GLAAD picks it up, and it's a big thing. But we usually do huge events. We've done huge events celebrating that list in New York City for a number of years. The last event that we did, because I was doing all the places in Harlem, all the Black venues, Schomburg, National Black Theater, Aaron Davis Hall, all these different Black venues in Harlem for the longest time. And then the last event that we did before the pandemic in 2018 was at Carnegie Hall, the legendary venue space. Being one of the youngest Black gay men to do an event there was important. And to bring people of color, queer people of color, into Carnegie Hall to tip our champagne glasses and toast and to celebrate being Black and queer and whatnot was a moment. And so it being 10 years of the magazine, I'm actually in the space of deciding how I want to transition and do something different. I'm going to do my magazine, but I want to do it differently. And so I'm in the space of figuring out what that's going to be. And people will hear soon what the next level, the next chapter for me in that work is. Because I think that 10 years ago, when I started the magazine, the visibility for us looked a little bit different than it looks now.
Yeah.
We are visible, we're seen, we're in the places. There may be still struggles for people to get seen, but I think that it is advanced way more in the past 10 years than when I started. I interviewed Jesse Smollett before he was famous.
Yeah.
I interviewed Janet Mock before her first book came out.
Yeah.
Like the week before her first book, I interviewed her. She was hoping that community would receive her book.
Yeah.
Before she did a show, so. I mean, I feel like that we are out there now. Like some of the things that conversations that I was having 10 years ago. Yeah, I want to have it. I want to do it a different way. And I was printing a magazine. I wasn't doing a digital. Now it's digital gay magazine. It comes out like now. It's different. I used to put together a magazine, print tens of thousands of copies, and ship them all over the country.
Yeah.
It was a different situation. It was not. And so I think that I need to, I'm looking to figure out what is the next evolution of my work when it comes to that. I'm still going to have conversation, but is it going to be through a quarterly magazine? I don't know. So I'm at the foot of source, listening for the answer to that, waiting for the answer to that. And when I get it, which I know it's coming, I will share with everyone what's next for me with that.
Yeah. I also want to add my 2 cents here.
Please.
As you move forward, don't forget the impact of your past. Don't forget the impact, because there are so many young Blacks, queer people coming out. And I don't want to say it, but I have to say it. Not much reading out here.
Mm-hmm.
Not much reading.
Folks don't read like they used to read.
Not much reading out here. So being able to have a resource that has been a resource that is a powerhouse, that offers them list of who's who, but also list of resources where they can go should they be homeless, should they, these things. I remember back in the day when I was a young aspiring model before I went to Paris and I was in New York, the big thing was the Rush report. You could get that and it would tell you where the agencies were and castings and things like that. And then everything went digital. But, I don't even know if it's still around. What I hate to see is for such amazing resources to just completely vanish, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
There must be some preservation of that because it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Look at the 10 years. It's been amazing. And and it's so crazy too, because like you said, with the digital era now, you can get the interviews done very quickly. I mean, it can become like I'm looking, it could be a website, and I'm sure you have that, but it could be a website and they can log on and then
Oh
you
yeah, no. Oh yeah, we're on the same wavelength. We've been looking at a few options,
yeah,
and I'm almost ready
yeah,
to roll out some stuff.
yeah. And what's so funny? Anything you do is going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. So tell me, Mister, I'm segueing here. Tell me, you moved to Atlanta. Are you living the Atlantan dream down there?
uh,
For a,
uh,
for a gay man. I mean,
yeah, I like Atlanta. Atlanta is my favorite place in the country to party and turn up. I think it's the turn up capital for Black people,
okay,
queer people. It just depends on what you like to. It depends on what you like to play, how you like to play, what you want to do.
right.
Atlanta, you can party to 9 in the morning. You can roll you a blunt and get you any kind of drugs and do them throughout the club. Like you can. There, people can be naked. Boys are stripping and shaking their asses, and dinglings are flying. Like whatever you want, you can get. They're all shapes and sizes, round, thick, skinny. It's in there, and it's inside the club, and you can do what you need to do and have fun. It's just a beautiful space, and I love that kind of safe space and free space and culture. I love Black, queer, and trans people. I
Yeah,
love the culture. I love how we are. I doesn't get on my nerves. Something that bothers the people. I love the culture. I just love to be a part of it. And so Atlanta gives that. The thing is, I come to Atlanta. I live in Buckhead. I don't leave my home. I feel like Oprah. She ain't left her mansion since the pandemic. I have everything delivered. The liquor gets delivered. The groceries get delivered.
yep,
Flowers get delivered. I don't leave the house unless I'm flying out of town. So I'm very specific on where I go. Excuse me. Now that we're in a pandemic and now there's monkeypox on the rise, Lord Jesus, it's like, let me just sit my happy Black ass here
yeah,
and just, create for my home and invite over who I want. So
yeah,
that's kind of been my way of being. I've been in Atlanta living for 2 years. I don't live it full time. I also still live in Harlem, in New York. I still am on the board of directors of Harlem Pride. I produce the Harlem Pride Stage Show for Harlem Pride Festival. I've done that for 8 years now. This past year was the first time we've been back since the pandemic, and we had over 20,000 people come to the stage show, which is even greater than we did in 2019.
right,
So usually April, May, and June, I'm in New York living. I
right.
used to live it full time. I don't want to live in New York full time. I don't like the snow. I don't want to be burnt up. Like right now, it's so damn hot. Hell no, I'm not living in New York right now. And then it gets winter. It's gonna be so damn cold. It's just no. So I just want to be there late spring, early summer. Like the last weekend of June, I'm ready to fly my ass back up out of there, like just somewhere else. Either I come home, see my mama, or I go to Atlanta. And I usually come back to New York for a weekend in the wintertime for our Christmas party that I throw.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I balance Atlanta and other cities. Yeah.
I am just I'm so tickled because here we are. I reach out to you and we was texting in the phone before this. We texting and talking, and I'm sending you clips that I'm putting out, and ooh, check out this, and didn't even know I'm speaking to literary royalty.
Oh Lord, no,
Black
no.
literary
I,
royalty.
I just feel like I'm the son of great men and women. I just feel like I've been blessed to be like the godson, like the adopted son, the gay son of some of these people. And I just was so grateful because I always heard bad experiences of having gay parents.
Right.
And Stanley Bennett Clay became my gay father just so effortlessly. And we didn't even I called him father, but yeah. And Reggie Wells, like my gay parent. I did a cover with them.
Yeah.
The first year of my magazine, there's a cover with Reggie Wells and Stanley Bennett Clay
Yeah.
at this piano. This is the first cover that Reggie Wells did,
Okay.
directed. And I'm in this ugly girl's red sweater that he picked out, Christmas sweater. We're in this big old living room mansion house that we rented with this big grand piano.
Yeah.
we can't at the piano, can't play the piano, acting like we're playing the piano like we're a gay happy family. We did this whole article on gay parenting and these being my gay parents and telling their stories. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just so thankful that I was able to have that experience, because I hear experiences of gay parents having sex with their children.
Oh no.
I hear stuff
I'm like,
about
oh, no.
getting them into all kind of craziness, not being
Right.
parents. And I I have a gay son. I only have one gay son, so I mean I wish I had more gay children, but but I just really wish there was more of that,
Yeah.
more of that happening.
I have a gay son.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a lot of children actually, but I have one that I'm really like working on, like
Right.
and like
Yeah, me too.
getting him out there. And
Yeah.
he kind of came to me and my boyfriend and said, "You two gonna be my parents." He chose
Yeah,
that.
that's how he chose me. He said, "You're gonna be my father."
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been my child for many, 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 many years. He was a teenager
Oh.
when he said, "You are going to be my father." On Twitter, I think he tweeted me.
Oh.
Yeah. So Quentin, shout out to Quentin Marcellus.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Like, and what I love is, I'm such a late bloomer. Like I said, I'll be 40 in September, and I didn't really get to, I know, right? I didn't get to really experience a lot of gay culture because I was too busy trying to get my mental illness under control, and it took many, 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 many years. So there were a lot of things that I missed, and some people say, "Oh, you didn't miss anything," but then some people say, "Oh, you did. You missed this or you missed that." So it's relative depending on the person. But what I do love is I'm turning 40 and things are looking up for me. So
Absolutely.
I'll be taking gay family vacations and
Yes.
like I'll be doing
Yes.
outside of this wig though, I tell you, because I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere for this stuff to blow in my face and in my mouth and all of that. I will have my backwards cap on. I have my tank top on. I have my flip flops, my little jersey shorts. Yeah, But what I love is that years ago when I started my career, I was so interested in mainstream, and even as a singer. And then 7 years ago, the Queen of Shade goes viral, and I began to do the work that I had been basically born to do, and I branded it and trademarked names and did all of that. And I find that I now see that it's not even about mainstream per se. I don't have to go outside of the community. We don't have to go outside of the community to make a very good, very successful living. And it's always been my thing. Like my music, it's not that I make gay music, but I'm gay. So my music, I talk about men.
Speaks to that. Yeah. Speaks to that.
Like I talk about men.
As it should.
Yeah.
As it should speak to that. As it should speak to the culture. Yeah. I always hated it, not hated. I disliked immensely experiencing artists in music who were queer. And I used to be really picky about this in the magazine years ago when we would feature artists, because I didn't want to feature any artists if they were, unless they're bisexual artists. But these queer artists, these gay artists who are talking about singing to girls like they are heterosexual normativity that's happening in the music and this, hated that mess. Like, I want to hear you sing to a Negro, sing to a man, like sing to a man. Like, that's not what I'm not singing to no girl, So it's not. It was a disconnect for me, but they were a gay artist. I'm like,
They were doing. They were doing what they thought they could. They
had to do in order to make it. And so I'm just glad that the culture has changed. We have people like Saucy Santana, people like Kid Ken. We have people like Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
We have artists like Jesse Smollett, who have all this amazing music that's coming out.
Yeah.
And all kind of other queer rappers and artists. So it's a thing. It's a thing now.
Yeah, it is a thing. And my thing is, some people say, oh, it's a fad. It's just going to be there until it's no longer favorable to have gay artists, but we will always endure.
Yeah.
You will always endure. It will never be just a phase. Never just a phase. Speaking of Little Nas X, that man makes me want to cry. He's so good. He's so good. He's so talented.
Excellence, Black excellence.
Yeah, he is definitely excellent and beautiful. But yeah, so and I love Saucy. Saucy's unapologetic. So you have to love Saucy Santana because
Yeah.
unapologetic. Jesse, I've always loved Jesse. I didn't care what
Yeah.
I didn't care what the hell happened. I was in his DMs like, I don't care what they say about you. I love you. I got your back. You need me to help you get out the country. I help you.
Absolutely.
Like, yes.
Down for Jesse. Down for Jesse.
Like,
Always.
listen, honey, I stand for Jesse Smollett. I don't care. I don't give a like my people used to say to me, I didn't give a fuck. Okay. You hear me? I didn't give a fuck. That was my man. I'm like, no, that's my no. I've always loved him. I've always loved him. You know, I've always loved him. I love his sister as well. She's an amazing actress. But it's just so nice to see, like you said, progress. Progress.
Yeah.
So I definitely hope that as you roll out, that it will, your new template, that it will continue to be as amazing as you.
I thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you for that. I thank you so much for that.
Yeah, because it's steeped in history. You got real history behind you. Some of us come out of places and people are like, where the hell this bitch came from? You're like, no, like that's why I tell my story so much. I tell my story so much. So they know this is where this bitch came from. She didn't just pop up here today.
Right.
So tell me, I mean, what do you, I'm gonna segue here, just little stuff. Tell me, okay, here we go. Coffee or water?
Water.
Fruit or candy?
Fruit.
That's an interesting one. I would have chose candy. Shrimp or lobster?
Eat neither.
You can't eat seafood?
I don't eat. I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, my boyfriend is vegan, so yeah.
I'm not that strict, but I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat any meat.
Listen. I haven't eaten red meat since I was 16 years old. And
I miss it. I dream about all kind of meat. I have dreams where I'm eating meat with icons who are dead. Like me and Dr. King eat chicken wings, and me and Malcolm X eat catfish, and like me and Gandhi, we eat like just this weird like stuff like that.
That's not weird. Those are the people reaching out and reinforcing and empowering you to stay here and do what you got to do.
Right.
Yeah. It's been an amazing conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what do you have planned? I don't want her to be around. What do you have planned for your mother and her birthday?
We're just gonna do a dinner. She's not around. We're gonna do a dinner. Usually I cook for her birthday. Yeah. And she likes me to cook vegetarian food, and she likes eating all up. But we're gonna take her out to some restaurants she wants to go, and then I'm probably gonna spend the day with her antiquing because that's the thing she likes. Yeah. So I'm gonna pop up and antique with her, buy her some stuff, feed her, get her drunk. That's about it.
Get her drunk. Isn't it so crazy when you can drink with your parents?
Yes.
It's just so nuts. Like it's so nuts, but it's so like it's a rite of passage.
This is true.
It's like, okay, you took care of me. Now I'm old enough to take care of myself and you.
Absolutely. So I just made sure I showed up. So I popped up here to do that, and word is getting out that I'm here. I heard my grandfather's going to be on the way over here to see me. Like everyone's coming. I'm in town. So
let me wrap. So give me 3 words that inspire and empower you. Come on, poet laureate.
3 words. 3 words that inspire me.
Yeah, and empower.
And empower me. Whew.
Come on, wordsmith. All them words used.
Okay, yeah. Words. I was thinking, because my mind started thinking of every phrase, every quote. Words. Beingness. Let's start there. Presence. contribution.
No one has ever said those words on this platform.
Yeah,
I've done
because those are the first things I think of. I think of being this when I wake up in the morning. Who am I choosing to be in the world today? How is my presence? How am I being experienced? These are the first things that I think of. And what is my contribution? These are like creeds in my mind, how I live my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that helps somebody.
It will. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media, website.
Yes.
Set a plug. Come on. Go.
Yes. You can follow me on social media at Bridgeforth, BRIDGEFORTH, Bridgeforth. You can follow my magazine at DBQMAG.com, as well as on social media at DBQMAG on all platforms.
Yes.
Or Dave Bridgeforth. Just Google me, type me up. I pop up a lot of places. Thank you so much for having me.
Let me say, I am so happy and was so happy to receive you here. And this is a confirmation to me to just keep doing what I'm doing. Because I had no idea. When I tell you, Bridgeforth, I had no idea. I said, this man is gorgeous. This man has light. I want to talk to him. That's literally every single interview. I've done over 200 of these. They're done that way. I don't do a bunch of research. I see you. I say, I want to talk to them. I feel. So I'm like, oh,
you get there.
Story there. And I'm like, oh, I got to talk to him. And that's exactly what I do. And then boom, I'm like I sat here like, oh my God. But yes, your grandfather's coming to see you. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Taking this opportunity.
Appreciate you all.
Don't go away. So ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings of Mr. David Bridgeforth. Say goodbye to the people, but don't go anywhere.
Bye, everyone.
So did you enjoy? I hope you did. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget to cash at me at the Queen of Shade. I am your favorite content creator, right? Right. You want to see more of this content, right? Right. Cash at me. I love you. Mwah.
I've got my black stilettos